Kevin, you're sounding like a Alexandria Red Cortez there.
You have conveniently forgotten everything that's happened in politics during your lifetime. Do you got any more boomer takes for us?
Yeah, don't restrict the right to vote to just property owners. Like you're shooting yourself in the foot. Woke capitalism.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Here is the philosophical question: should somebody in Section 8 rental housing who does not own property be able to vote to increase my property taxes? I say no philosophically. Now, I think there should be taxpayer standing. I don't believe fundamentally that somebody who does not have taxpayer standing, i.e. is paying property tax, should have the standing to vote to increase mine, especially when they're already consumers, tax consumers and not taxpayers. And I use Section 8 housing as an example, but I don't think any renter, someone that's not paying property taxes, should be able to vote in a tax measure on the ballot somebody else's property tax. I don't think they have the adequate taxpayer standing.
Your perspective is literally about the social class, which is lower than you in the pyramid structure. You're not considering that most of the power in such a structure would be wielded by the class above.
Why should they be able to vote to increase my taxes when they don't have the standing?
Because the United States government policy has been to reduce people to beggary and then to redistribute income to these people. Manufacturing was deliberately destroyed in the United States. These people lost their jobs. Now you want to take away their votes.
Thank you,
No,
Kevin.
I'm not going to take away their votes. I'm not going to take away their votes. I'm talking about people in Section 8 housing that are given a promise to free AIPAC. I don't think they have taxpayer standing to vote to increase my property taxes. I'm just kind of curious. Where is their taxpayer standing? I don't want to hear, Kevin, you're sounding like a Alexandria Red Cortez there.
They used to have taxpayer standing when there were good jobs.
Then go out and buy another house. They can get their taxpayer standing back. Nobody says they lose it forever. I'm wanting to hear an honest and intellectual, logic-based argument why somebody that is renting and doesn't own property should have the right to, doesn't pay property taxes, should have the right to raise my property taxes. I'm waiting for a logic-based argument, not an emotional-based dribble or twaddle.
The people who own apartment buildings, do they pay property tax?
The owners do. The owners.
Oh, and where do you think they get it from?
What do you mean, where do they get it from?
They get it from their tenants.
That doesn't confer upon the renters.
Oh, yeah, okay. Pull the drawbridge up after yourself. Go ahead.
No, it doesn't. It does not confer upon them. They could do it whatever they want with those buildings. They could convert them into offices.
Did you find this in John Locke or something like that? Is that why this
I'm asking a question. I'm waiting for a logical response.
No, where does this taxpayer standing comes from? Is it in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights or something?
Well, actually, property taxes are not in the Constitution.
Okay.
We're talking about the United States. We're not talking about Canada, Kevin.
You've invented this doctrine called taxpayer standing.
No,
and you expect everyone to accede to it.
It's a legal standing in American law. What I'm waiting is a logical response, not an emotional response, not a leftist response. Why should somebody who pays rent that doesn't own property have the right to increase and vote to increase my taxes? I'm just curious.
If you're reduced to calling all criticism a leftist or socialist or whatever, you've already lost the argument.
Okay, no, you've lost. I'm waiting for a logical response.
I gave you one.
A person renting could always improve their condition, buy a home, then they...
Oh, improve your condition. What, raise your IQ like 30 points or something? Go back, get in a time machine and get richer parents?
I don't bank on IQ, and I didn't get my parents were dirt poor. So I don't want to hear that. That sounds like Red Cortez too.
She really frightens you people, doesn't she?
No, I think you lean where your political leanings are, Kevin.
My political leanings are that I don't believe in classes for citizenship.
I don't necessarily either, but I do not believe in this leftist mantra that allows that everybody is equal and kumbaya and everybody is going to redistribute wealth. Let's face it, taxation is a redistribution of wealth. When you allow someone else who has no standing and no skin in the game to redistribute your wealth, then that's what that is.
Okay.
You know economics, Kyle. there are producers and consumers, and there
Sure.
are negative consumers. So what I'm saying is a welfare leech in Section 8 housing that is a negative tax consumer should not have the same vote to increase property taxes as a property owner. They should not.
Why don't you take that up with a political party and see whether they'll get behind it?
I vote no on every school bond. I vote no on every property tax increase. That's one way I do it. Absolutely.
Okay. It's interesting that you have this producers and consumers.
Absolutely, because
Yeah,
you have an
okay.
obligation to be a producer. You don't have an obligation. You should not be a mooch. You cannot sit there and advocate for right-wing policies and then embrace the left and say, well, because I just happen to be at this given time in my life to be down on my luck, I'm going to side with the left.
You have conveniently forgotten everything that's happened in politics during your lifetime.
No, I have not.
Everything
No, I have
that's happened. You seem to ignore the existence of neoliberalism. As I said earlier, it has been deliberate government policy to destroy production in the United States. Deliberate government policy.
Absolutely. That still doesn't confer taxpayer standing.
Oh yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, this is one of these crazy libertarian arguments. You're making Lyle look sane.
I'm far from a libertarian, Kevin. Maybe if we had such policies, people might get off their asses and get out and do something. I mean, for the first time under Barack Obama, we had as many so-called conservatives sucking on the trough of welfare as we did leftists, and they got used to it. They became, welfare drug addicts. It became pathetic. All of a sudden, they became, well, we got to be real easy about these food stamps. We got to be real good, because they enjoyed the taste of meth too. So you know what? It's everybody's fault. And what I'm saying is, we had just a strong dose of tough love. Maybe people would get off their ass and go back, and maybe you just might get America back. I don't believe that's ever going to happen.
Maybe they should learn to code.
Well,
but if rights are taken away, then Rodney, they're going to come for you first. They're not going to come for Section 8 people first. The people who are the most marginalized in terms of their political outlook, they're the ones who are going to have the rights taken away first. In practical
terms.
Describe
marginalized.
Marginalized just means that your political opinions are considered unacceptable. Like
I didn't say they don't get to vote and everything. I was talking about property tax with regard to school elections. You guys weren't listening to me. Did I say they don't get to vote for their congressional representatives? Of course not. I didn't say that.
If they're net consumers of federal largesse, where's their standing? 47% of Americans, as Mitt Romney pointed out, don't pay federal income tax. Where's their standing? Should they be stripped of the vote too?
That's a problem too. That's a problem in and of itself when you have nearly half of the country's population that is not pitching in and having any skin in the game. That's a problem with the income tax system in itself, where the income tax system in the United States is a nationalization of people's income. That's a whole separate debate and discussion. But when you do have a system that requires everybody to participate literally on the honor system, and they chose not to, that's a fundamental problem.
What do you mean on the honor system? What are you talking about?
Look, 47% back in 2012. I bet you it's about 53% now.
I will point out again, that is the result of deliberate government policy going back decades, that America doesn't need producers because having everyone produce is inefficient.
No.
It's economists and politicians who put America in the position where work is disrespected.
That's right. And work is disrespected because in the 1960s, a welfare check took the place of a working father, and one job started being replaced by two in the mid-1970s. But yes, you're absolutely correct. Work is disrespected when you don't have to do it, because a welfare system will kick in and will provide you food. It will provide you what's called a LIHEAP program that will pay your utilities. It'll provide you food stamps. And literally, this was generational, cradle to grave, and was passed on from mother to child, and then on to, there are now 3 and 4 generations of Americans by birth that are on the dole. That is why work is disrespected.
You're getting cause and effect reversed, Rodney. And by the way, if you want to cut these welfare benefits off, get prepared for a huge die-off. Is that what you want? Because there are literally tens of millions of people in the United States who are unemployable at any job.
Really? Why
Yes.
is that? Why is that?
Let's say functionally illiterate for a start.
Too bad. You don't have to read and do math very well to push carts at a freaking grocery store to pick oranges out of the field.
Okay. Do you got any more boomer takes for us?
Well, you're the boomer by age. I'm not. I'm tired of seeing the right embrace leftist tactics because they got a taste of the sugar high called the welfare state. You know, and that goes for corporate welfare too. Corporate
Are they living on food stamps? They living on SNAP?
They are. Absolutely, they are. Corporations are. You have corporations that pay zero taxes. They're living off of subsidies. Tobacco, you and I both enjoy smokes, Kevin. In the United States, tobacco still gets huge subsidies. That all needs to be called. And by the way, the Department of Defense, which pays me a check every month, they can use that. They can use some scissors too.
I'm not sure you quite comprehend the state of the current economy, where most people in their early 20s may take a decade or more to pay off their student loans, and even longer to get a house. And I, at a similar age in my early 20s, have several houses. That's the inequality, which is a fact in this country. And most of these people, I mean, I find these millennial complainers pretty useless, but these useless people are still our brothers. And there was a time when there was dignity for them doing jobs which don't exist anymore. Okay.
When I hear inequality, what I hear is reality. There's always been inequality. There's always been somebody that has had just a little bit more, who's had a little bit.
The working class had a dignified place, though. That's what people want, is dignity.
Okay. What define dignity? An iPod and an iPhone? Is that dignity? And by the way, the student loans, my heart doesn't bleed about students running out and running up mountains and mountains of debt because they didn't want to tough it out and maybe work a part-time job.
That has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with it. It's the same thing as the housing collapse. When the authorities come to you and say, borrow money, this is the good thing, this is what you should be doing. You want to go to university, don't you? Because why don't you look at the prospects for Americans without bachelor's degrees in the United States? They're pretty dire.
When somebody offers you a loan and you know you can't pay that back. I know when what I can pay and what I can't pay, and you know you can't pay it back, you don't get it. The fact is,
what did you know at 18?
People signed. What do you mean? What did I know? Who is buying a house at 18? We're not talking about loans.
Were people waving tens of thousands of dollars in front of your face when you were 18?
No.
Well, there's a difference for you.
And by the way, and I don't think that's happened in today's 18-year-olds either. And by the way, if you take, are we going to have the same goddamn love and compassion for drug addicts that continue to go through and snuff cocaine up their nose and do meth? No, we don't. We don't have the same compassion.
You're comparing the working class to drug addicts now.
No,
this is just a class thing with you, Rodney.
No, it's not a class thing. It's not a class. It's a responsibility thing. At what point do we sit back and say, look, if you keep going out and hawking yourself into debt, knowing you don't have a job, or your job only pays $5 or $6 an hour when you got the loan, whenever it was, at what point do you say the problem is in the mirror? I mean, this business now, you have all these kids that got these worthless degrees in gender studies and sexual studies and hawk themselves into these huge loans because they didn't want to say, fill out the application for a Pell Grant, or they didn't want to work part-time. So they basically funded their entire college education through, loan after loan and triple loans after loan. At what point do you say, wait a minute, we're not going to bail everybody out?
At what point do you say that America should stop taking in immigrants and H-1B visas so young people could get the summer jobs that they used to get, Rodney?
30 years ago. That was a stupid program to begin with. Why would we have our kids go to college and they give the good jobs to, a graduate from Punjab University. That was a stupid thing
I'm
to
just
do.
telling you that you haven't been paying attention to what has happened in your own country during your lifetime. There's something called neoliberalism, which is determined to eliminate the idea of happy workers because it's not efficient. All they care about is the aggregate, and American economic and social policy has been bent to their will.